I am greatly honored to be here this morning and for you to have elected me Ben-Gurion University's of the Negev's 7th president. I really am indeed humbled by the trust that you have put in me. As a scientist, I've always been acutely aware that I stand on the shoulders of giants, that my PhD advisor, Professor Yossi Hirschberg, and my postdoc advisor, Professor Xinguang Deng, deeply influenced the way that I do science, that all of my discoveries are based on previous work done in numerous labs, some large and some small, around the world. As president of BGU, I am truly standing on the shoulders of giants. And as many of you have told me, I have very large shoes to fill. I am very thankful to Professor Avishai Braverman, literally a giant of a man, whose dreams are today realities all over and all around our amazing campus. Avishai played a large part in luring me to BGU and infecting me with the passion that characterizes the entire Ben-Gurion community. Professor Rivka Karmi led BGU from Avishai's vision to today's reality, skillfully navigating the route from dreams to action. From my conversations with many of you here in this room, I know that Rivka deeply touched the lives of BGU supporters and had a major role in building our international family. I am especially thankful for her for preparing me for this colossal job. So my route to becoming BGU's president was not trivial and definitely not standard. Coming from Aliquippa, a small mill town in western Pennsylvania, and a high school where less than half the students continued on to university, an academic research career was far off potential career paths, let alone becoming president of one of the world's great universities. But the path that led me here had its roots in that small town upbringing. First, Aliquippa is what would be now considered a town on the very lower end of the social economic scale, not so different from many of the communities surrounding Beersheba. This gave me an understanding of the potential needs of students, both Jewish and Bedouin, coming from these communities. Students who have not been given the best preparation for college, or who may have not had the strongest support from their families, but students who do have immense potential, immense untapped potential. Second, growing up as the only Jew in my entire school, I was acutely aware of the difficulties of meshing a Jewish and an American identity. My Jewish identity was forged in our local shul, which served a number of small communities, but even more so through my involvement in the Young Judea youth movement. Multiple summers spent in Young Judea camps forged in me a strong affinity for Zionism, which led to the realization that my future could only be here in Israel. After high school, I participated in a gap year program, which ended with several months at Kibbutz Keturah at the southern tip of the Negev. At the kibbutz, I was assigned to be a tractor driver. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever driven a tractor, and it sounds very romantic for Americans, but it's actually quite monotonous. You put the tractor in gear, go to the end of one row, turn it around, and repeat the same thing, back and forth. But it does give you a lot of time to think. And as one morning, as I was driving through the alfalfa fields on the kibbutz, I noticed that when you harvest alfalfa, it grows back. But when you harvest wheat, it doesn't. At this point, I knew absolutely nothing about plant biology, but I had a eureka moment and realized that if we could figure out why alfalfa grows back and wheat doesn't, and then use this knowledge to make wheat grow back following a harvest, perhaps we can feed the world. And it was at this moment that my trajectory changed. I switched from being pre-med to being pre-ag. And it was this decision that eventually led me to abandon an Ivy League education at Columbia University, because Columbia doesn't even have a class in botany, and brought me to the Hebrew University to study plant genetics. While I indeed had intended on studying agriculture, during my studies I was increasingly attracted to basic questions in plant biology and genetics. And from my first experience as an undergraduate research assistant, I was infected with the research virus, the need to ask questions and to make discoveries. We scientists and many of those in the room will agree with me, actually have an addiction. We're addicted to discovery. That single moment when you've made a new discovery and you realize that you know something that no one else in the world knows is addictive as any drug. And it is that addiction, that one moment, maybe even only once a year, which leads us to spend long hours in the lab every day with numerous failed experiments. This addiction led me to do a PhD in plant genetics, and then a postdoctoral fellowship at Yale University, and eventually in 1996 to establishing my own lab at Tel Aviv University. During my time in Tel Aviv, I experienced the challenges of doing world-class research in an Israeli institution. I learned the importance of academic leadership, and perhaps too quickly, I was promoted to become chair of the Department of Plant Sciences. From there, I founded the university's MANA program in food security and became familiar with academic collaborations around the world. And then 5 years ago, I became dean of the Faculty of Life Sciences. And throughout all of this, I maintained an active research career. And even now, as I speak, well, not now because they're here, but they should be, 3 PhD students and 2 postdoctoral researchers are working in my lab hard to unravel this basic questions of plant biology. So there I was on a clear path with a job that I was passionate about. What on earth could have convinced me to leave all that to take up the mantle of president of Ben-Gurion University of the Negev? Well, the answer is actually quite simple. BGU embodies everything that brought me to Israel and everything that is great about Israel today. David Ben-Gurion once said, and you've heard this many times, that to be a realist in Israel, one must believe in miracles. And I think we can all agree that what we have here today is truly a miracle. Not only at Ben-Gurion University, but all around us in Beersheba and its surroundings. And personally, what exemplifies this miracle is how my wife sees Beersheba. See, she was a soldier here in 1980, teaching illiterate soldiers how to read Hebrew at the IDF base in the Old City. And as she tells me, when she left here in 1980, she was certain that she would never have reason to come back. And those of you who knew Beersheba back then, who knew BGU in its early days, I think can better understand, better than me, the miracle of her sitting here today and appreciate how tremendously things have changed since then. Over these past 40 years, we have created a new ecosystem where inspiration meets excellence, where the Zionist dream that anything is possible is alive and kicking. 40 years ago, when she left here, could you have imagined a campus with 20,000 students and close to 900 senior faculty? Could you have imagined that BGU would house the nation's leading cybersecurity research center, and that this center would work hand in hand not only with the national center, but also with many of the world's leading IT companies? Could you have imagined this cybersecurity center would be located in the heart of an amazing advanced technologies park, a park connected to the university, and a park that already provides 3,000 jobs to the people of Beersheba, to our students, and to our graduates? A park which already houses 70 cutting-edge high-tech companies. Could you have imagined Ben-Gurion University, together with the Soroka University Medical Center, would house the National Autism Research Center? That scientists from all over the country, from every other university north of here, would be coming to BGU to carry out research in autism. And could you have imagined BGU as the National Center for the Study of Zionism and Modern Israeli Literature? That we would be able to count among our professors such literary greats as Amos Oz, Aaron Appelfeld, or Edgar Keret. That the work being carried out at the Ben-Gurion Institute of the Study of Israel and Zionism in Stable Care is unique on the global stage and cardinal for the study of our country. Think about it. It's as if we house the archives of George Washington, the archives of Nehru, or the archives of Winston Churchill. On one of my first days as president, I actually went down to Sde Boker, to the archives, and asked to see Ben-Gurion's diary from May 13th, 1948, the day before Israel declared its independence. I'm not embarrassed to tell you that I had goosebumps as I read his diary for that decisive day and got a glimpse of the hopes and the fears of this giant of a man as he was deciding whether or not to declare independence. While these amazing research accomplishments, along with many more like them, may have been only dreams 40 or 50 years ago, I trust that the Jewish dream of tikkun olam, of making the world a better place, was embedded in our DNA from the very beginning. 50 years ago, when the Minister of Education, Yigal Allon, officially dedicated the University of the Negev, the government's goal was to develop Be'er Sheva and the Negev, and the university was to become a beacon whose light enriched the various populations of the South, whose very presence drove developments in local industry, culture, and politics. 50 years later, this commitment to our community is alive and flourishing. More than 6,000 students, Jews and Muslims, Christians and Druze, over 50% of our undergraduate student body are involved in a wide variety of community and social projects in the region under the auspices of our Department of Community Action. For example, some of these students live in the open apartments surrounding campus, where they interact with local children, adolescents, and also with adults, strengthening communities and building cooperation between the university and the city's neighborhoods. And I know that talking from students, from talking to many of my children's friends, that young adults from all over the country come to BGU not only because of the excellent education they receive here on campus, and not only because of the wonderful social scene, but precisely because they want to contribute to society, to feel a part of something bigger than themselves. This Tikkun Olam approach is clearly seen in our groundbreaking medical schools, including the Medical School for International Health, which pioneered a paradigm promoting global impact in the developing world. If mimicry is the best compliment, then we should be very proud, because similar programs have now sprouted up all over North America. And our graduates are truly, truly making a global impact. One such graduate, for example, who you may never have heard of, is Professor Joseph Sakrin. He is now the Director of Emergency Medicine at Johns Hopkins Hospital. But more than that, he is a leading medical activist who has focused on making gun control a public health concern. These incredible accomplishments and this unique spirit were on their own enough to bring me here. But I was also drawn to BGU by the challenge. The challenge to take what has been built over the past 49 years and to guide BGU in assuming its leadership role in Israeli academia. Now, I know that this sounds ambitious, but I sincerely believe that all the pieces are in place for BGU to become Israel's premier institute of higher education. First, we have an enthusiastic student body who chooses to be here. Second, we have a committed academic and administrative staff who live and breathe BGU. And third, we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for growth and refining our vision. When I look out from the Double Helix Bridge, which I go to on the way to my apartment, at the barren ground which will become the North Campus, I envision state-of-the-art laboratories and research facilities, which will enable us to attract the best and brightest of Israel's young academic talent. I see modern classrooms to absorb the ever-growing student body, classrooms designed with the student of the mid-21st century in mind, classrooms where soldiers from their surrounding bases will embark on their academic studies while completing their military service. I see our innovation center, Yazamut 360, seamlessly integrated within these classrooms. And I see a conference center and a concert hall where we will host international meetings, world-class musicians, and where we will hold our important events such as the honorary doctorates conferments and graduation ceremonies. I see a visitor center, finally, where we will have thousands of guests and tourists to come to witness firsthand the miracle of Ben-Gurion University of the Negev and to get a glimpse of our remarkable research. And I see connections, physical and intellectual, linking our university with the Advanced Technology Park, linking our university with the new IDF bases that are springing up all around campus, linking our university with the amazing evolving metropolis of Beersheba, and linking our university to the world. We are, without a doubt, Israel's university of the future. A global university interacting with the world's leading research institute. A global university leading the way in industry-academia interactions. A university where inspiration truly does meet excellence. But at the same time, we are a global university with a local soul. We can't forget that our DNA was forged here in the desert. It was encoded with the Zionist dream. No matter how much we grow, no matter the heights of our international reputation, we must remain grounded in the Negev, gratifying in knowing that our success is intimately connected to the success of the South, and thus directly connected to the development and the success of the State of Israel. Yes, friends, Ben-Gurion University of the Negev is like no other university in Israel. And this is the answer to what brought me here. I look forward to leading the university to increased greatness, and I'm confident that we will succeed. Confident, not out of hubris, but out of the knowledge that I have wonderful people working together with me, people who share my passion for BGU. Well, I've been here less than 5 months. I've had the honor of meeting many of you already, our supporters. Your passion for our university is inspiring. I'm particularly inspired by the many of you sitting here who have been involved with BGU for decades. For example, this very auditorium in this building on this very campus carry the names of many of the friends who are sitting here today. And across all of our campuses, we see your influence on the development of BGU. We are very grateful. Thank you. And I also would like to thank the senior administration of the university, the rector, the director general, the vice presidents. Without their tireless dedication, I would not have been able to so quickly jump into this job. The same goes for the administration. I have the administrative staff. I have never, ever, and I've been at other places, met a more dedicated group of employees devoted to and identified with the university's mission. The academic staff faculty of the university, well, you've welcomed me as one of your own, and I feel nothing but partnership in leading the university forward. Thank you. And the staff of the president's office, well, they do all of the work, keeping me prepared and at the right places in the right time, and I'm thankful for their dedication. And finally, to my family, the decision to leave Tel Aviv and come here was not a simple one. Without my wife, my partner Shira, encouraging me and motivating me, I doubt if I would have made the first tentative moves to talk to the search committee. And my children, who have to deal with the problem of having a father who is president to many of their friends. And on a very personal note, I would like to think that somewhere my parents are getting a big kick out of all of this. Finally, I thank you, Ben-Gurion of the university's Board of Governors. I know that I can count on you to aid me, to guide me, and to support the university in our efforts to grow into Israel's leading university of higher education. All of the pieces are in place. I have no doubt none whatsoever, that the future of BGU is bright and promising. And I trust that we are all dedicated and excited to take the next steps of this journey, and that together we will succeed in writing the next chapter of the Ben-Gurion miracle. Thank you.